The rational mammal, mistakenly called man, truly lacks a defined individuality, undoubtedly. This lack of psychological unity in the humanoid is the cause of many difficulties and sorrows. The physical body is a complete unit and works as an organic whole unless it is sick. However, the inner life of the humanoid is by no means a psychological unit. The gravest aspect of this, despite what the various pseudo-esoteric and pseudo-occultist schools may say, is the absence of psychological organization in the innermost depth of each individual. Certainly, under such conditions, there is no harmonious work as a whole in the inner life of people. The humanoid, in terms of his inner state, is a psychological multiplicity, a sum of selves. The ignorant learned of this dark age worship the self, deify it, place it on altars, call it alter ego, higher self, divine self. These know-it-alls of the dark age we live in do not want to realize that higher self or lower self are two sections of the same pluralized ego. The humanoid certainly does not have a permanent self, but a multitude of different subhuman and absurd selves. The poor intellectual animal, mistakenly called man, is like a disordered house where instead of one master, there are many servants who always want to command and do whatever they please. The greatest error of cheap pseudo-esotericism and pseudo-occultism is to suppose that others possess or that one has a permanent and immutable self, without beginning or end. If those who think this way would awaken consciousness even for an instant, they could clearly evidence for themselves that the rational humanoid is never the same for long. The intellectual mammal from a psychological point of view is constantly changing. Thinking that if a person is called Luis, he is always Luis, is something like a very bad joke. That person called Luis has within himself other selves, other egos that express themselves through his personality at different times. Although Luis does not like greed, another self in him, let's call him Pepe, likes greed, and so on. No person is the same continuously. One does not need to be very wise to fully realize the countless changes and contradictions of each individual. Supposing that someone possesses a permanent and immutable self is undoubtedly an abuse towards others and oneself. Within each person live many people, many selves. This can be verified directly by any awake and conscious person,